Today is already Wednesday, March 1st. I'm Pastor Anthony, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from Deuteronomy 4. See, I have taught you decrees and laws as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may follow them in the land you are entering to take possession of it. Observe them carefully, for this will show your wisdom and understanding to the nations, who will hear about all these decrees and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. What other nation is so great as to have their gods near them, the way that the Lord our God is near to us whenever we pray to him? And what other nation is so great as to have such righteous decrees and laws as this body of laws I am setting before you today? It's Deuteronomy 4, verses 5 through 8. Yesterday we heard how obedience to the law is tied to life. Today, Moses gives more and different reasons for a life of obedience. The overarching theme is that Israel's keeping of the law is their way of witnessing to the nations around them. The first reason to keep the law yesterday was so that Israel itself might have life. Today, the reason is to show their life as a life in God that other nations might just want to partake in themselves. So firstly, because there's a few different rationale in here, firstly, God is near to his people. Near enough that he cares how they live, not only with him as the first table of the law speaks to, but also with one another as the second table of the law speaks to. Israel was to love God and their neighbors. This is a call to be in relationships of flourishing, in communion or in shalom, peace, flourishing with God, neighbors, even with the creation itself. It all started, though, by God being near enough to his people to know them and be known by them in this dialogue of prayer and conversation. This was secondly, therefore, a righteous set of laws, a set of laws that promoted and guarded righteousness not just in relationship to God, but also in society. It's not strange that Western law codes are based in no small part on the ethos and values of the Judeo-Christian legal ethic. We are not a law unto ourselves, as if our individual choice was all that mattered. Nor is it just about us and Jesus. The law concerns all of life and all of relationships, even our relationship with the creation. This law is holistic, relational, and interested in a life of flourishing shalom for all. This is what God means by justice and righteousness. In keeping this law, the Israelites would, thirdly, appear wise and understanding to the nations around them, able to govern society holistically and well with harmonious attention to the relational flourishing of all, even with the foreigners within their gates. But again, beyond the values embedded in this law, like the dignity of image bearers, neighbor love, and peace, shalom, flourishing for all, from which come our modern notions of human rights, one value outstrips them all as central, and that's God himself. One critique that Christians rightly raise in regard to new laws produced by our Western governments is that if they are no longer based on Judeo-Christian values, then what values are they based on? Often when one drills down, the values are actually missing. And so the means of getting somewhere become the ends. Efficiency or progress or choice for its own sake becomes the values that we drive at, never thinking to ask whether these means of getting somewhere are actually going to drive us to the sort of ends that we might wish to arrive at, like shalom or human flourishing. More often, these values turn out to bankrupt the creation, set people against one another, and make us lonely cogs in someone else's wheels. So again, there's much wisdom to be gleaned from the laws of Deuteronomy. But this perhaps is one of the more important ones for our cultural moment. Deuteronomy helps us to recognize that living righteously is about more than progress, choice, or efficiency. It is about communion and conversation with our God who is near to us, and who calls us to be in communion and good relational conversation with the creation and with our neighbors as well. There is a wisdom to this, an attractive, witnessing wisdom. As you journey on to live in obedience to this law of God, receive His blessing. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you, wherever He may send you. May He guide you through the wilderness and protect you through the storm. May He bring you home rejoicing at the wonders He has shown you, and may He bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors.